Hello everybody, my name is Darrin Donahue and I am a man that likes to make videos. Different type of content, YouTube, creation, and pretty much have fun times with my friends. It has come to my attention that a lot of people are getting discouraged by many things these days due to corona or maybe just lack of motivation. All these people that make their art and love their art are for some reason scared. Why is that? I don't know, but that's the point of this. I wish to find out. Time and time again, I've seen people give up on their goals of pursuing music, give up their goals of making videos, give up their goals of pursuing art. I couldn't be more confused on why they would do such a thing. And it's mostly because art is an outlet, so it makes people give up on art. What makes people scared of art? To find that question, I'm going to do a deep dive into what makes some creators tick, and I'm going to conduct interviews with some of my classmates who were presented with the oh so rough assignment of the Capstone project for this year. And a brief summary of the Capstone project is to create something that has comprised your 4 years of being in SLA. Since they're making art, I want to know why they chose to do their capstone and why they continue to make art. I also want to understand what can sway people away from their art. I will even attempt a project that I've never even tried before, as to make an example that it's always possible to do these things. I'll make my own script, and I'll make a scene to show that nobody has to be scared of new things. And it's for the sake of creation. I want and I need answers. And to find said answers, I schedule some interviews to figure out why. Roll the clip. I'm joined here by Daria Williams.
What's good?
A senior in SLA, a senior at Science Leadership Academy. And I'm going to be asking you a few questions, Dario. Are you prepared for that?
Yes, sir.
All right. As most know, my capstone is about why some people are scared to create. So I want to go ahead and ask you, what could make someone who likes to maybe create a video or create art or create music, what could scare them off from wanting to make what they love?
No, that's a very good question. I guess there's a few things that can factor that. I guess, could be, from others, they don't think, you should do it or not. Their thoughts about it. Maybe they just don't have, the proper motivation or the will to actually do it. Like, it'd be a, internal thing or external thing. It could be the people around you telling you no. Or it could be yourself, doubting yourself. Or you're not having the proper motivation. I mean, that's a few things, though.
All right. What do you think could remove some of those behaviors or maybe inspire somebody to start instead of just giving up early?
I mean, trying, honestly. I mean, you can't really do anything, before you try. You have to try in order to, succeed, to see if it actually works or not. You have to put in the actual effort if you really want to accomplish a goal.
Yeah.
Like, you have to try and do. Then you'll see afterwards if it works or not. But you can't do that until you actually try.
Okay. I don't know 100%, but I'm sure you've dabbled in things here and there. So, um, you know, are there things that come from more of trying? Like when you start something new, do you do it just to do it, or do you normally have to have a reason behind all your actions?
I mean, depending on the person and what it is, it could be, an actual reason, or maybe, it's just like you just want to try it out and see how it is. Most of the times is that, so sometimes people, they just do it just to do it, see how it is or whatever. But most of the time people have like a mission or a goal they want to accomplish. So they kind of have to do it, they want to do it.
Okay.
Personal thing.
So, do you think that if I were to make a video, if somebody were to draw, you know, a mural, if somebody were to create an album, do you think that those could effectively be judged? Can art be judged in a way, or can it not be judged because it is art and it holds meaning to the producer?
I mean, others really can't judge another person's art because, people express themselves differently. Not everybody's going to see the same you as you have. Art is an expression of yourself. So it's going to be obvious that somebody else is going to see differently from what you think, or, not think it, classify it as art. But I mean, it's kind of more as, a personal thing. People can't really judge what somebody else's art is. So they really don't have, they really can't judge that. It's just your own personal thing,
Right. So in that case, they would only be able to compare their personal taste.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Are there any big inspirations that would make you want to make something or start something new?
Inspirations. I guess inspirations could be like, maybe some people around family members, because they try to, motivate you and push you to do, what you think, push, family members most importantly, because they're always going to be behind you, stand for you, most of the time or whatnot. I guess like some teachers, like some cool teachers that that you hang out with. I mean, they could inspire you, or maybe some celebrities or whatever. But that's just a few people. I guess depending on what it actually is.
Okay.
A celebrity can be an inspiring person.
All right, I get what you're saying. All right, this one's for you personally. How do you, because you mentioned the idea of just trying something. How do you eventually work up the courage to just go and do something?
See, sometimes it's like a battle within myself, either decide to actually do it or not. But I had people that want to see me, do these things. My parents, they always push me, sometimes I'll say I don't want to do it or whatever, but they say, oh, you should try, you should try at least, try it and see if it works or not before you automatically say that, it's not going to work at all. So it's like kind of a push type situation, get the proper push. And I get that from my parents a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
I think Daria brings up an interesting concept where he wants people to try things. He makes that, a very blatant point that if you want to ever get motivated to do any type of artistical creation, you have to try. You have to do research. You have to understand what you want to do and how you want to do it. And you can't really stay stagnant with it. Excellent. All right. In this section, I'm joined by Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
And I'm going to be asking you some questions. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, knowing my capstone, It's based off the idea that people are scared to create art and are scared to produce things that they love. And I want to ask you some questions that relate to that. So, we often see that people, just sort of shy away from things they love or hesitate to try something new. And can you try and give me some insight on why that may be?
All right, so there are two groups of people: risk takers and people who are comfortable. Majority of society, because of our generation, how we're brought up, are in the comfortable area where we find something we like and that we may be good at or okay at, and we stay in that little corner. And despite what we might find interest in, we feel that there's a sure success or comfortability in this area. So why we risk that and lose everything to just see if we're good at something. It's a fear factor, if you will, and it takes away from the experience of being able to try new things and try to develop yourself as a character. That's what I see it as, at least.
All right. I understand. So, Chris, you're an artist. You're a writer. You do loads of things. So, what inspires you to try new things? Is it only simply because you're a risk taker?
So you got me there. So for a long time, I was in the more comfortable area, but it was more so for my parents. I always wanted to please them. I knew that being in this area of my life made them happy, up until a point where my father talked to me and basically told me that I need to live for myself and figure out what I want to do. So knowing that, I realized that what I was doing was fine, but it's not what I liked, and my parents weren't happy that I wasn't happy. So knowing that, I took the initiative myself to go out and try a bunch of new things, including art, music, writing, just anything I could, sports, like anything at all that I might find interesting. If I didn't like it, I dropped it, and I never fully let go of what I was comfortable with, but I just developed that and used it to help me better myself in other areas as well. So I never let go of my morals, my academic standing, and like what I believe I should do, but I didn't let that affect me what I want to do. We didn't let that affect what I want to do.
Okay. So when you're trying new things, say when you first, went to blacksmithing, was it just an impulse or was it something that you had been thinking about for a while?
So for me, I like to do research. So if I ever feel something that's like, oh, this is cool, even if it is impulsive, the idea is impulsive, I take time to look into it, see if it's something I actually want to do, if it's my schedule, or if I prefer to do it over something else that's already in my schedule. I plan ahead to make sure that I can do this without feeling trapped,
Mm-hmm.
or unsure of myself. So I guess I planned it out.
All right. Understanding that, what are some of the major things that could demotivate somebody or scare them away from, making a video, trying new things? What scares people away from that?
All right. So the big idea is that being scared to fail is the biggest problem. And while that is a good case for some people, personally, in my experience of just who I know, people that I know, it's less of them being afraid to fail. It's more people putting them down for failing or not being good at something rather than supporting them. Like if you have a good support, you failing doesn't matter. But people are putting you down when you fail, that's what messes up. And that's who we're scared of. People are scared of being rejected and being like, oh, if I don't do this right, people won't like me or I won't be where I'm want to be. And that scares people. The fact that people are scared of being alone and being cast out is the biggest part of people not wanting to try new things. They get in the area where they're comfortable, people who also relate to that, and they stay in that group so that they feel safe and secure.
All right. Branching off that idea of maybe not doing something right, is it really possible to do something wrong when it comes to art? Is it possible to make a mistake if you think what you've done is intentional and you like it the way it is? Is that really, a good way to, interpret that?
I like that you brought that up. So again, so the idea of wrong and right, this is the whole topic I'm not going to really get into, waste your time. But wrong and right is, again, a made up concept that we just get from other people. And in some cases, they shouldn't apply, they don't apply. But people decide that because they like the way they do things, that they need to implement their ideas of wrong and right into a situation. So, it's like you said for art, there is no wrong way to do art. Your style is your style. No one has the exact same style, right? And if you do, that's cool. You have a similar style to someone, but it's not a wrong or right thing. You can't do something wrong if you intended it to be that way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are methods and way to help you practice to do things. That's just for practice, though. That's not telling you have to do it this way. Anyone who tells you have to do it in a certain way, they're just either. So I think they have the intention of helping you out, but in the wrong way. You know. So to answer your question shortly, no, there is no wrong or right in certain situations, of course.
Okay.
Like, there are specific genres, like for music, or when I was on guitar, I would mess up when I first started practicing. I messed up on different chords and whatnot. My teacher was like, "That's jazz, not the right way I taught you." But that's just because jazz is made up of skilled artists who know what's right and deviate from that to make it sound the way they want it to sound, rather than what's right. So there are ways of going. There are some things that don't have to be right or wrong.
Okay. All right. Continuing. So we go to museums. We view art. We view paintings. Why is it that a painting could be worth $10,000 and then some paintings can be worth $0 or have absolutely no monetary value at all? What's the reason for that if there's no right way to do it?
All right, so I'd say, I guess there would be two reasons why. So for most paintings that are worth millions and billions, those are more ancient. Those are paintings that are worth value because of how old they are. I'd say that's the main reason why, the age. But the other reason would be popularity. Like, the only reason anything has value is because it's popular. The only reason the dollar in America has more value in certain countries because we're popular. Like, it's I guess that was a weird example, but yeah, there are things that the popularity and having a name out there makes you worth more. So it's not less the value of the painting, more the value of the person who made the painting. Like if Elon Musk drew a line on a piece of paper, like stuff like that. Because he's him, that thing would be now worth this amount. But if like I drew a painting compared to his line, it wouldn't be the value. It wouldn't, It also depends on the people like as well. It goes on popularity. People like go along with it. Sometimes they can be different as well. So I feel like, but majority of the time, I feel like it's based on popularity.
All right. All right. I'm gonna end you off with this last question.
All right.
What is the biggest obstacle when making a new project or starting something new? What is that first hurdle that you have to clear?
So, first hurdle, I feel like overall, it's getting out of the mindset that you can only do it the way you set it down in the first place. Because the reality is, 90% of the time, anything you make or anything you want to make is the way it's in your head. The way you have it in your head is not the right way to be done.
Yeah,
you're gonna
need
make
flexibility.
something, draw something. It won't work most of the time, right? And people are afraid to deviate from their head. They'll just give up instead of saying, okay, how do I fix this and how do I change it to make it work? So I think the hardest part is, and also finding out what you need to change about it. So wanting to change, having the energy to change it, and finding out what to change are the hardest parts. I think, of starting a project.
Right. Don't fix yourself into doing things a certain way. That's words from the man that literally drew this nice picture. There is no right way to do art. Your style is your style, says Chris. But for some reason, people keep getting judged on what they consider good art, and it's just them having fun on a canvas. So, what is good art? In this section, I'm going to be conducting an interview with Brian Reed. Say hello, Brian. All right. And as many people know, my project is based around the idea of why are creators scared of making art. So I'd like to delve deep into the topic with somebody who's versed in, you know, the art of music.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, I've been playing guitar for almost 4 years. The drums for almost 2 years as well. And I'm just now starting to make music. So,
Hmm. All right. I'd like to get started. What would you say to somebody that was just trying to get into music?
so honestly, it's just start. That's the best I can put it. Just start. Eventually, you will keep practicing and practicing, and maybe you can start making your own music, and then who knows, maybe even make a career out of it.
All right. Well, it's a recurring theme that people bring up the idea of starting and just starting. But how does somebody work up the courage to just start?
So, inspiration is a big key into just starting, as one would say. For me, it took pretty much a whole summer or school summer length to just start. And it was around August where I started picking up like my first guitar, practicing, taking lessons, and I wanted to start playing at the beginning of the school year, and it took almost a full year to just start. So,
So, just starting for you, I mean, do you feel like you had to commit to what you were doing, or did it come naturally?
I don't know if it was committing, because I've always wanted to play an instrument. Originally, I wanted to play drums, but obviously they're just really loud. So I stuck with guitar, and it was not a chore for me. It would just pick up and play.
All right. So who first inspired you to create? Who first inspired you to pick up that instrument?
So it's a bunch of bands, I would say. There's some pretty good guitarists. Kurt Cobain, he's sadly gone, but he is one of them. Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day. Bunch of guitarists. I can name a whole bunch.
Okay. All right. And they were the driving factor in you starting to think that, I like the way this sounds, I want to do it too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. When dealing with these mainstream things like, just how you were talking about bands like Green Day, you have these big artists. So if somebody like you were to create and compose a song, what's the metric in between that determines how valuable that song is? Because they make, thousands of dollars while you make nothing.
Well, really, value of a song is what you value it as. Like, some of these bands have put hours and hours, put their heart and soul into some of these songs, and they're not even, they're not released as a single, and it doesn't do as much as they would think it would, be as popular as they would think, but they still love that song, and they will play it live, and even though people might not like it, they still like it, and they will keep doing it just because that's how much they value it.
So a song is determined on the worth to the composer.
Yeah, I would say.
Do you think that can, pretty much be applied to any form of art?
Yeah, I mean, you see some like paintings where some people might see it as just like scribbling on like a canvas, just throwing paint at it, but some might see it as this masterpiece worth millions of dollars, and it has something that you can see into it, that you can see it.
All right. What do you think was the biggest obstacle when you started your venture in music?
Well, at the start, especially with guitar, it's really important to eventually build up calluses because the strings can hurt at the start. And another thing, just speed and like knowing like where to put your fingers, how to strum. Eventually you will get it and you will get better at it, but just at the start you might want to just quit because of how hard it is, but eventually you will learn it.
And at that point you can truly appreciate what some of the work and effort these great musicians put in.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brian. It has been a pleasure interviewing you. You were one of the only ones that have, pretty much brought up the painting idea without me having to say anything.
I see.
So kudos to you. And
thank you.
You will be joining us in our next segment called Questioning the Capstone. Brian Reed, a musician, pretty much just starting his music career, making his first few tracks for his own Capstone. That's amazing. You guys should check it out. And he pretty much goes over with us and tells us just to start. The same thing that Dario was saying. For some reason, the melody in the remedy is just to start. This is me creating a video with hardly any equipment and in a topic that I'm not versed in. I will cover the basics of starting something new with limited equipment and prove to you just that you don't need everything to make something. I'm going to be making a fight scene with some of my close friends, and I'm going to walk you guys through the process of what I'm thinking as I'm making a script, as I'm gathering a cast, as I'm shooting. The general idea is to have a topic, something you want to do. For me, it was a script between Xbox versus PlayStation, something I've seen done in videos before and always wanted to try myself. So, I thought up a cast, which would comprise of some of my friends. Then I got to writing, I got to planning, and this was not all possible out of nowhere. As you can see on the sidelines, I have all of these suggestions from my friends that have really helped me, to understand what I can do. That information was not the only stuff I received. I browsed online and I searched for many things that would assist me. I watched iconic fight scenes like Rocky Balboa, or I even looked at some animations like The Incredibles and how they choreographed each fight. We had other things, like the annotated bibliography, where we collected links, which is also where I, found the inspiration for my fight scene from the Rocky Balboa fight and Incredibles fight. and the entire thing in general was actually very helpful. In reality, that's all it's ever about. It's not about making it 100% perfect or 100% good so that when people see it, they're like, wow. Sometimes it's about making things that only you will be able to appreciate and enjoy. About to see is my friends' reactions of what they thought the fight scene was going to be like, and then their afterthoughts on it. And all of this was a collaborative effort, and everybody deserves the utmost amount of respect and props for everything they brought to the table.
So, hey, my name's Mikkel, one of the actors for the film. So before I did it, I was kind of apprehensive. I didn't really know how it was gonna go because I don't have any experience really with acting. I didn't really know how it was gonna go, but I wanted to help my friend out, and so I kind of took the chance. And looking back on it now after the fact, it was the right decision. I really enjoyed the time, especially because it was a good way to connect with my friends after COVID, and it was just fun in general. Maybe the only thing I kind of wish it was a bit longer, or at least some of the dialogue was, we had actual dialogue to add on to it. But I enjoyed it, and hope whoever watches it afterwards enjoys it too. And that's pretty much it.
Hi, my name is Namir. So this will probably be a take of my afterthoughts while working with Darrin with one of the videos for his Capstone. I would probably like to start off with, it was an experience. When it comes to helping someone with filming or being filmed at all, I'm not really used to being on camera. I like being behind it most of the times. So being like recorded and stuff was nerve-wracking but also exciting, because I get to I get to act out and stuff. So I guess it was a fun experience. I would say it does change my perspective on how people usually film, how people make videos and stuff. So I used to think it's like, oh, it's simple and easy, you gotta go like this. But in reality, it's like you gotta do takes, you gotta make sure it's perfectly matched, and if not, you gotta redo something else. But there's also cut-arounds as well. And I noticed in those cut-arounds, it's like sometimes an idea might pop out that might be better than original. And in some lucky moments, you might get a take and it turned out great on the first try. Or like how we did one of the clips Darrin made us do was with me and Dario, and we kind of improvised through that part. And he said it was actually good and we can keep it. So if I had to say what changed from before doing the video and after, it would probably be my perspective on the hardship that comes with being in a video production. So yeah.
Okay. So before the fight scene, I was a little worried. Because I knew that we'd probably be tumbling a lot. I knew that I would probably get flipped a couple times. So I was a little bit worried about how many hits I would have to take. But other than that, I was excited to do it. Because it sounded fun. I've done nothing that week. I was ready to do something physical and have a good time. That's basically it for before it. Okay. After, I was completely right. I took a lot of hits. My back was killing me afterwards because I kept having to flip over onto the grass. Luckily it was grass, so I'm fine. But honestly, it was really fun. I had a good time. Anyone who enjoys acting or anything physical should definitely try it at least once. Because it's definitely a fun time for, like, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But I have to say, bring some sunscreen if you're outside, because I'm pasty and I got super burnt. So, yeah, do that, and always remember safety. But it's definitely a fun thing to do if you ever have the time to do it and the friends to do it with. Alright? Okay.
Yo, looks like today's the day to help Darrin with his capstone record this video, you know. This action seems about to have going on. You know, I hope it goes good, you know. Get to see the homies again after a minute. Whole quarantine situation. But, you know, I hope it goes well. I'll put forth effort in it. Make it look dope, you know. Yo, we back out here, you know. One more time to clear out the day. Yo, that video was dope, bro. Me and my homies, we made that joint look fire, dog. I'm not gonna hold you. It was fun. I did better than I thought it did. For real. You know, good way to spend the time, spend the day with the homies. You know, I ain't seen him in a bit. But Darrin's editing skills, you know, Joe, this joint gonna come out fire. Yeah, so it's all of the power of Darrin to make it more dope with his editing skills. We're gonna see how it is at the, you know, finishing product. Yeah, best of luck, Darrin.
You know, I'm not sure what to think at the moment. I know, so I actually took part in actually editing the script for the fight. So from what I know, I'm not sure if any changes or not, but from what I know, it should be pretty decent. Filled with a lot of action, a lot of funny. It was very funny, very intriguing. And that I would have fun recording it. Hopefully, I can be there to record it. That's the biggest part of it for me personally. But either way, I think it'll turn out pretty good. Definitely decent. I know the people who want me on set. We got Mikkel, we got Dario, we got Damir, we have Elijah, we have Tyler, Darrin. Who else should be there? I'm not sure who identified as some of the other characters, but I think based on that lineup, it should be really good. We're all very good at getting into the role of things and figuring out, you know, improvising what's going to happen next. If we don't know the line or the script, we're all really good at that. So I feel like it's going to be very decent, very interesting, very fun. I'm not quite sure how long it'll be. I feel like it should take a decent amount of time. It shouldn't take too much time to actually record itself because, you know, I feel like it's pretty simple, straightforward. But on the video itself, it actually shouldn't be too much. It should be like a short film that's very intriguing. It's gonna be really good. I feel it's gonna be really decent. So yeah.
So before the fight scene, I thought it was gonna be a little, you know, dramatic. I thought it was gonna be jumping around and falling around and all that. But after the fight scene, I felt relieved that I didn't have to do all that. But it was a little dramatic, you know, but nothing too serious, man. And I think it's gonna turn out really good. So I have high hopes for Darrin because I know he's a master editor. So good luck, Darrin.
Thanks for all the kind words, friends. Without further ado, I present to you PlayStation versus Xbox.
RPGs.
I'm thinking.
Maybe a little bit of Skate.
I'm thinking some Halo.
Halo.
What game are we trying to play, y'all?
What you feel like doing? Shooting?
I mean, it's Xbox exclusive, but I mean, Xbox is really the bit right now.
I don't know, man. You can play some Bloodborne. That's a PS5 exclusive.
I mean, nobody really wants to play PlayStation anymore. Y'all just mad because I got that loud ass fan. Nobody want to hear that shit.
Right, ain't nobody trying to sit there for 30 some minutes to an hour waiting for the damn thing to die.
That's right. At least we're not overfull or overeating. We got our heat sink all over us.
Y'all be the main niggas with heat problems though.
But listen, we're not melting off the box.
Look.
Like y'all new shits look like that fucking grill right there. Look what y'all talking about. Fucking X series shits.
Yes, fine. Don't got no type storage. First thing you gotta do is get a brick. Brick is storage. You need like a terabyte on that thing. And all the games, way too many gigabytes.
Listen, my whole console isn't a brick.
Alright, look, y'all don't know nothing about no classic Xbox game.
Of course you don't. I've been rocking with PlayStation since day one.
Man, I bet you wouldn't understand. All you had is PlayStation. You don't know what the best console is.
Oh, please. All you've had is Xbox. You want to know what the best PlayStation is?
See now, I played PlayStation 2, but I chose Xbox 360 over it.
Honestly,
I know that's cap.
Y'all just fucked up.
No, I ain't cap. I had one.
it ain't cap.
That
No,
niggas
it's cap.
is blind.
Talk about how
That
regular
niggas
you
fucking up.
When you see on the screen square, triangle, it's square.
No, listen.
That's
listen.
some embarrassing stuff right there, bro. What you trying to do? Learn your shapes again?
Listen, at least I don't have to look at the alphabet all the time. I don't want alphabet in my console.
Yeah, how the fuck y'all go from
Alphabet,
A to
bro.
B?
Hold up.
X to Y.
Y'all don't know what y'all
Man!
talking about. Alright, wait. Let's phone in some friends. Let's see what they think. Because obviously, we don't have enough opinions on this.
Clearly, man.
Yo, Chris.
Kind of front in your face.
Chris, tell these fools that Xbox is way better than PlayStation.
Honestly, yo.
You know that's cap. Chris,
Bro,
you know that's
PS
cap
is
completely.
so trash. Every single console is garbage, bro. You can't do nothing with nobody. They stalk your chats, bro. They're so weird. Xbox is the most chill company, got the best exclusive, everything. It's so fine. Y'all are garbage, bro. Get out of here.
No. You get out of here. You get out of
Saying
here.
they're stalking y'all.
No.
Man, you got the wrong person. Get somebody else in this bitch. Alright, let's get this shit right? PlayStation is over Xbox, correct?
Definitely.
False.
Shut your mouth, Chris. Shut your mouth. Let the man talk.
State your reasons.
First of all, Xbox is just abnormally huge for no reason. and it's built around design, like with the graphics and all that, and just the storage is enormous, which makes it run slower.
Man, this nigga don't know what he talking about.
I really don't.
Y'all obviously don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So you gonna have to get out of here. Y'all gonna have to
Damn, suck boys.
fuck this shit. Fuck this shit.
Let's take this to the party, nigga.
Alright, let's take this to the party. Let's go, nigga.
Bro, you claim me gun? You ain't gonna shit in, nigga. Well, nigga, I ain't got no shit in. I ain't got no trash ass system. No, fuck you. We can't be this party. Oh, what's up? Yo, suck. He's the suck. Now,
Brad, bring a death, nigga. Yeah.
that's why your times are insignificant.
Fuck you, please. Go down. I'm down. This won't happen if you just admit the truth.
Sorry. I don't like repeating myself. That's fine. Go. Motherfucker!
arrogant mortals, played by metal boxes. PC Master Race. PC Master Race. You dumbasses couldn't stand a chance. Come on! PC, I've been running this shit since day one. You fuckers think y'all stand a chance? Get over here. Weak ass bitches. Wait for y'all to go obsolete. I'm gonna wait for that day. The PC will be true king. Fuck y'all doing? They get one person. Hit him with that head.
Hey guys, I just got my Stadia. Do you want to play with me? I know we can ditch those other bummy consoles. Look, wait, stop!
Damn! Now that's a busted console.
That was my fight scene. Now, it came with a lot of challenges that I didn't really expect. We couldn't get everybody in for the most part. We had a lot of trouble, you know, setting up, figuring out what to do since it was our first time shooting a fight scene. Most of the boys out there weren't actors, so we had trouble with that. And then that stakes the claim to the entire Capstone process in general during the COVID-19 crisis. You know, we had plenty of trouble setting up dates and times, and albeit doing an entire Capstone project while we were at the disadvantages that we were in. If I could have one thing different, it would be to not have the year of COVID holding me back from making something way better than that. I honestly think I could have made something at least 5 times as better. You know, with the proper access to other people. But you work with what you got, and that was my fight scene. I think it turned out good for the circumstances. In that case, Rome was built in a day.
Hey, in this section I'm going to be taking a closer look at some of the people who are working on their capstones. You know, the ones that involve the creation of art, and asking them some questions to further my understanding of what could drive someone away from making something they love. It's important to make a timeline. It's important to know what you're gonna do when, and try your hardest to stick to it. And you also have to accept that your plans may change. You might not always want to do the same thing. Don't be forced to the same option all the time. And if you don't feel like it, change it. Don't just discard it and forget about it. Change it and make it something new. Something that you want to do.
Organization is so important. I had to put everything in the Google Drive and it nearly took up the entire storage. You really have to pay attention and organize. Like, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do this if I hadn't organized and figured out what goes where. Culmination of trying to figure out what people's capstones are and what inspired them to do it. That is one of the most important factors of this next part coming up. I do interviews on people, I ask them about their capstone and why they chose to do it pretty much, and then I want to figure out why they think that's an important art form. So welcome to
this segment called Questioning the Capstone. Hello everybody, on this section of Questioning the Capstone, I'm joined by Chris.
Hello, Chris.
All right. Can you explain what your capstone is about?
My capstone is pretty much a website used to help people learn how to use 3D modeling and CAD programs, specifically Fusion 360, and also teaching them how to sell their product and invest in themselves. Become their own business, pretty much.
Okay. So would you consider that project, a form of art or a form of creation?
Oh, 100%.
So could you confirm that you're, in a way, teaching newer creators?
Oh, that's the point of all projects, actually. The
All right.
goal is to make sure to teach people and learn, yeah.
Okay. So, what's your audience? Who are you marketing to?
Well, at first the idea was anyone that was laid off due to COVID, because that's a hard time, and being able to find a job, something to teach you to do something that could get you more money than you did before COVID, I thought would be a great idea, because 3D modeling is something that is going to be necessary and needed for years to come, especially the way technology is improving today. So I feel like this would be a good opportunity for them to learn how to run a skill that can help them make big bucks in a short amount of time. So anyway.
Speaking of the 3D modeling, I've seen plenty of things online where they make pop figures and, figurines that they sell. So in a way, people are creating these things. That is their form of art. So do you think all of these 3D models are classified as their own version of art? Or some of them more for business?
So art in itself is a pretty vague. It's a vague umbrella. Like music is considered art. Acting is considered art. It depends. So art depends on the person. So for me personally, I guess I could see it as art. Like if you design something that you find, like say you can design your own type of statue or something. You can make things. You can make things art. So it in itself isn't necessarily art, but you can make it into art. That's what I'm saying.
So, in a way, do you think that can be, applied to a lot of things? They aren't necessarily, normalized and used for art, but anything could be art?
I think that can be to anything. Like, for example, gardening. When you garden, you plant different vegetables and crops and flowers or whatnot that might look nice, but if you just plant them in a row or a line, they're just plants in the wrong line. But some people do their gardens and mow the grass and make images or whatnot and make designs with the flora they have, and that's considered art. There are competitions for it and everything. So I feel like anything can be turned into art or considered art if you do it from the right angle.
It's funny how you talk about competitions. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of lines of competition in the 3D modeling section. So. I mean, in a way, do you think those competitions make sense when they're, when the judges are basing themselves off personal taste? There's no kind of technology-based, application when it comes to that. There's no robot that says, oh yeah, you meet the requirements, or no, you don't meet the requirements, so your thing is not as beautiful as this thing.
Right. So again, it depends on what you're talking about. So specifically, you brought up 3D modeling. So say you're trying to design a lock for a door. a certain specific type of door, say a steel door, right? So some locks may be able to be functional for other doors, but say the structure lock isn't strong enough for a steel door. It is, so the way people judge things, again, as you said, it's definitely human as error. It can be definitely flawed, but it also does depend on what they're judging on and who the judges are, because those judges will likely be engineers who would know what they're talking about, who has been in the industry of or in the area of making locks or whatnot. Like locks, they would be like, I could break into this in 10 seconds or a minute, or I could break a door open with this thing in 10 seconds or a minute. It would be kind of different because they would have to use, for that specifically, they'd have to use some textbook knowledge to judge those kind of things. But I think you're talking more specifically on just the vague idea of what is art and who can enjoy art. And you're right that there is no real way to judge art. It's just basically we get some people and have them. We get people that have a name in the world of art and who are known to be able to say this is good and this is not, even though there is no good and not, And because we put them above ourselves, like they're right, so it's just whatever. But the grand scheme of things, right? There is no good art. There's no bad art. It's just art, and yeah, it's just human interaction saying this is good enough. Yeah.
So, with your capstone, how do you feel now, and what did you feel like when you started, and overall, how confident were you throughout the entire process?
All right, so in the beginning, I was feeling like this would be a good opportunity for people to really teach, for me to feel like I'm doing something good for the community, something I feel around me. Then over time, as things started to change, people started to go out more, and I saw people were still working, people were getting jobs, but I saw things increasing like how they were before, but they shouldn't be necessarily, but it's happening anyways. People are going back to work, more people are getting jobs again. It's just all wrapping up. I figured that I could still have it as a part of my community, help people out, but I ultimately have a business for myself. So now I'm creating it to help others, of course, help my community, help people that I feel like really need it. But also there's an aspect of it where I want to be able to use this to help myself, help my family, because they're already in lines of where they've been working through it, but it's something that I feel like if I got some extra cash, especially for college coming up and whatnot, I feel like something that could benefit me more. So I'm thinking more towards my future at this point. But along with my community, of course, along with my community, so I haven't forgotten about them. I'm still using this to help people learn a new skill to help them develop in the world we are in today. But I also feel like I can use it as a way to benefit myself as well. I guess so I'm putting myself to the equation or the break.
You hear it, folks. A lot of the things he said can also be applied to the idea of creation. You don't just, create it to look nice. Sometimes you create it for other people to enjoy. Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. No
and
problem.
we have questioned his capstone. In this segment, I'm joined by Brian here in Questioning the Capstone. Say hi, Brian.
Hello.
All right. That's Brian.
It is.
Okay. Starting off with the first question. What is your capstone?
So my capstone is basically I'm making an 8-song album, and I'm gonna produce it on. I'm producing it myself, and I'm trying to put it on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube.
All right. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when doing this?
I can name a couple actually. So I'd say the big one is not having the ideas, because you kind of need to have ideas of what you want in the song, and without the idea, you pretty much can't work. Another one is, for me, the lack of like collaboration, because I'm supposed to have some people helping me with it, but they've pretty much been MIA. So,
you bring up this, thought of ideas, and do you think that maybe your lack of time or you being sort of forced to do this is ruining some of your good ideas?
well, for me, I don't feel as if I'm forced to do it. Maybe like towards the end when I'm sort of like cut down on time, kind of feel like I'm forced. But I've always wanted to produce music, and as long as I just come up with the ideas before time's up, essentially, I'm pretty much good.
Okay, so do you feel like the capstone was an opportunity for you to start?
It definitely felt like an opportunity.
So in a way, it was kind of a push.
Yeah, pretty much. Without it, I probably wouldn't have even started.
Yeah, push to something you already wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel when you first started working on your capstone as compared to how you feel now?
So, at the start, I thought I would be perfect, ready to go. Originally, I wanted to do 8 to 10 songs, but towards the end, I've kind of like gone smaller and smaller into the amount of songs. So at the start, I had literally one like idea to put in a song, into one song, and I then had to finish the song. So I would need to finish at least one song, and then towards the end I started getting ideas and then got more and more stuff, and eventually I got up to 8, which was a goal of mine. But now I realize, like, I was wondering, like, why can't my favorite bands like produce an album like every year, 2 years, and now I realize it takes a long time, and they're doing much more complicated stuff than me.
All right. If you could change one thing about your capstone, what would it be? And if you don't feel like you don't need, to change anything, why?
If I can change one thing, it'd probably be not much about the capstone, but just have more time. Because some days I just wouldn't work on it. Some days I can get a whole song completed, and just having inspiration and then having a time limit doesn't really add up. So
putting a time limit on things really can screw it up sometimes. All right. That's understandable when it comes to these things. But nevertheless, you had to do it anyways, and I'm looking forward to hearing the songs. Brian, is there anything you want to say?
Hopefully you guys will listen to them. It might not be your cup of tea, but I put a lot of work and effort into it, and hopefully you like at least one song. Maybe you can connect to it.
Thank you for joining me, Brian. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. Thank you.
For this segment of Review the Capstone, I am joined by Dario Williams. Say hi, Dario.
What is good, y'all? What's good?
And basically, what I want to know is, what is your capstone?
Pretty much in simple terms, my capstone is an anime discussion group. Pretty much was a couple of friends during this time of quarantine to stay connected and live the culture.
Okay, so what is it exactly that you do?
Pretty much, we pick an anime that we watch throughout the week, and then by the end of the week, we would come together, discuss about the things we didn't like, things we did like, and what was good about it, things like that.
Okay, so based on that idea, we see a lot of things in mainstream media where critics are giving reviews. They're sharing their thoughts and opinions on maybe things they don't like about something or things they do like. But when it comes down to that, they're still judging maybe an animation or a drawing and saying maybe that drawing is not as good as it could be, or maybe it's a bad drawing. So based off of that idea, do you think that judging an animation is really important, or is it only based off personal taste? Because maybe that may be a bad drawing, but only to your eyes. Maybe the person that drew it thinks it's good.
Right. That is true. Usually, or most of the time, when we say we give critique about something, being bad, it's mainly because of our personal taste. We as people, we look at it and we say, like, okay, it's either good or it's bad. It's not the part or it made up the part. It's just, like you said, maybe the creators, they thought it was fine and good, but some people might see as good, some people might not. It's just based on their own personal taste.
Okay. So, on that idea, it's kind of like saying you go to an art museum, you see the $10,000 painting, but does that make it, other than monetary value, doesn't make it any worth, is it really worth more than a painting that costs no money?
I mean, then again, based on people's, feelings about it, some people might think it, it's the best thing in the world. Some people might think it's, a waste of money. Pretty much like with that whole judging situation, it's just basically what someone feels about it. Other people have different feelings about it, different points or takes from it. So it's pretty much, just your own feeling towards it. Pretty much. Yeah.
Also, to my understanding, you review the story and the plot. So those can also be considered art, because at the end of the day, it's like writing a book. It's like something that someone is creating. So
right. Yeah.
It's their story. So is it really bad if you don't like it?
Not really. Like we were saying before, sometimes, I think, either animation or like plot is bad, but that really doesn't mean it's bad in general. It's just that I feel as though, it could be improved on. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's just bad. It's just more as though I feel as though, based on my standards, my feelings, it's not the part. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, for the whole community. Some people might think it's good, I'll think it's bad, but it's not necessarily bad throughout.
Right. Well, I wish you the best of luck on your capstone, Dario. Looking forward to seeing it, and thank you for your time.
No problem. Have a good day.
I plan, this is, to benefit my own community. I want to show small creators that they can accomplish anything they put their mind to. It's meant for the community to grow as a whole and to awaken the passion in others or people who have lost it. 4 years we spent at SLA with these 5 core values: inquiry, research, collaboration, presentation, and reflection. Things you want to do is that you make sure you have a plan. Sometimes you can be spontaneous in the moment, but write down your thoughts. Don't let them pass you by or fly away in the wind, because eventually somebody's going to snag that thought and you won't be able to do it anymore because it's completely unoriginal.
My capstone is the epitome of what it means to start something that you have no idea what you're doing. I never made a documentary before. I never made a fight scene before. I've never monologued before, unless it was for an assignment, which I sucked at. It's just, very interesting to see that sometimes things don't have to be planned. Sometimes you just have to try things. You don't have to be scared of making your art. Thank you.
Hi.